The concept of justice. More than 300 verses in the Quran focus on this issue, justice and injustice. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان. Justice is a commandment. قل أمر ربي بالقسط. Tell them that justice is an order, not an option. وَأُمِرْتُ لَأَعْدِلَ بَيْنَكُمْ. The Prophet is saying that my mission is justice, to establish justice. Not only my mission, the mission of all the messengers, لِيَقُومَ النَّاسُ بِالْقِسْطِ. All came to establish justice. Then the Quran talks to the mu'mineen. وَلَا يَجْرِمَنَّكُمْ شَنَآنُ قَوْمٍ عَلَىٰ أَلَّا تَعْدِلُوا اعْدِلُوا هُوَ أَقْرَبُ لِلتَّقْوَىٰ. Don't let your hatred for your enemies stops you from justice. Because justice is close to piety. If you want to be pious, be just. يا أيها الذين آمنوا كونوا قوامين بالقسط. O faithful, stand strongly for justice. وإذا قلتم فاعدلوا. Be the voice of justice. وَلْيَكْتُبْ بَيْنَكُمْ كَاتِبٌ بِالْعَدْلِ. Your pen be a pen of justice. When you write, write it justly. فَإِنْ فَاءَتْ فَأَصْلِحُوا بَيْنَهُمَا بِالْعَدْلِ وَأَقْسِطُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُقْسِطِينَ. When two groups of the faithful from your community, if one group rebel another group against another group, then stand against the aggressors. If they stop their aggression, then make peace between two groups based on justice. Then the Quran talks about the justice in the family life. فَإِنْ خِفْتُمْ أَلَّا تَعْدِلُوا فَوَاحِدًا. You know that before Islam, it was a custom that a man could marry hundreds of wives. Like if you go the traditions in the Bible, like Solomon, based on the biblical traditions, he had 1,000 wives. Even Prophet David, based on the biblical tradition, he had 700 wives. When Islam came, he said, no, stop it. You can't have 700 wives or 1,000 wives. Reduce it to the point that from 1,700, the maximum, it cannot be more than 4 wives. But even for that, if there is a fear of injustice, make it only 1. You cannot marry more than 1 wife if you are not 100% sure that you are fair and you can exercise justice between them. Obviously, this 4 wives is not even for United States, because here people even they cannot handle 1 wife. And that is why there are so many youth that are 40 and they pass their 40, still are not married. They cannot handle even one marriage. So we are not talking now about, here I'm saying Quran is maximum. If there is a situation that everything is okay, but then you have to be not only financially capable, but morally be fair. Otherwise, فواحدا. Allah ta'adilu. If cannot have adala, فواحدا. That means that even if you are Prophet Solomon and David, you cannot do what they did at that time. The law changed. So the basic foundation in our faith is justice. وَتَمَّتْ كَلِمَةُ رَبِّكَ صِدْقًا وَعَدْلًا. There are two characteristics in the Quran, the Word of God. The Word of God is based on two characteristics. Number one, sidqan, truth, and number two, adlan, justice. So truth and justice are the foundations of words of God. Not only revelation is based on truth and justice, but the creation is based on justice. بالعدل قامت السماوات والأرض. العدالة التكوينية. Creation is based on justice, and revelation and law, القانون التشريعي, also based on justice. وضع الشيء في موضعه. This is justice in the sense of creation. And إعطاء كل ذي حق حقه. This is justice in the sense of التشريع. That everyone and everything should receive what they deserve, or what is their right. That is justice. Justice is not a matter only in religion. Even Aflatun, Plato, he said that for a society to be beautiful, this society should be balanced. Means just. Because just or justice means al-i'tidal, means balance. Shaheed al-marhum al-Sayyid Mohammad al-Sadr, قدس سره, he said al-adala hiya al-wasita wal-i'tidal. To be in the middle, the balance, to be moderate. So Plato is saying that society is beautiful if the society is just. If there is no justice, if there is no balance in the society, there is no beauty. That means the absence of justice means the absence of beauty, the absence of peace, the absence of freedom, the absence of happiness, the absence of health, the absence of love. If there is no justice, there is no peace, there is no love, there is no health, there is no happiness, there is no freedom. So justice is the foundation. And this justice starts from ourselves. As Imam Elahi said, غاية العدل أن يعدل امرأ في نفسه. The moral justice at the personal level. So you are doing a justice to yourself when you pray, when you practice piety, when you love, when you establish peace. This is an indication that you are fair to yourself. You are doing to yourself what is right, what is good for your soul. But someone may make injustice to herself and to himself when there is careless. When somebody smokes, when you smoke, that is injustice to your soul, to your body. When someone, la samahallah, drinks alcohol, drinking alcohol is injustice to the person himself. When somebody does adultery, that is injustice to himself, to herself. When someone is jealous, when someone dies, when somebody is dishonest, when someone deceives, these are all cases of personal injustice. So we have to be just to ourselves, just to our Lord, and just to the society. As Imam Ali alayhi salam is saying, أَنْصِفِ اللَّهَ وَأَنْصِفِ النَّاسِ. Be fair to God, be fair to people. There is another hadith, الْمُلْكُ يَبْقَى مَعَ الْكُفْرِ وَلَا يَبْقَى مَعَ الظُّلْمِ. That a government in a society may survive with kufr, atheism, but not with injustice. Now there are some ulama, they are saying, oh, this hadith is not qawi, this is a weak hadith. Well, let's say even the Prophet didn't say it, doesn't matter. Let's say this hadith doesn't exist. Our logic says so. I mean, we understand that much, that if there is a government, is a society based on injustice, it's not going to last forever. That's obvious. Why you argue that this hadith is not hadith sahih, or it's not qawi, or it's weak hadith? Doesn't matter. This is the law of logic. That makes sense. If you are under circumstances that you have two options. One option is to live under al-hakim al-muslim al-zalim. And you have another option to live under al-hakim al-kafir al-adil. Which one you choose? You have option that there is a government, that this government doesn't believe in religion, but believes in justice at least. On the other side, you have Saddam Hussein. He says, yeah, I believe in God and he prays too, but he's zalim, unjust. Which one you choose? You choose a governor that is just, even if it's not religious, over somebody who claims of religion, but is zalim, is oppressor. That is obvious. Somebody can come and say, I'm Khadim al-Haramain al-Sharifain, right? But what he does, Khadim al-Haramain al-Sharifain, but he's lying and deceiving and destroying. There was something in BBC yesterday, I was checking the news, they're saying that they went and they took a big number of Afghani youth from villages in Afghanistan. They said that we want to take you to Umrah, and the Mecca is in danger. There are Houthi from Yemen, they want to come and destroy Kaaba. We want you to come to Mecca and defeat the Bayt Allah. Can you imagine? And they deceive a big number of these people from villages. They are fighting poor Yemenis because they are the ones who are threatening the Kaaba. So would you prefer to live under this satanic system that lies and oppressing the people, or people who are their allies? Is a United Nations report just 2 days ago saying that last year in Iraq more than 19,000 people, civilians, were killed by the terrorists just in Iraq. 19,000. And how many they were wounded, that they are going to handicap till the end of their life, only God knows. They said more than 30,000 people. And who does all of these things? Those who Quran says, كَالْأَنْعَامِ بَلْ هُمْ أَضَلُّ. They are like animals, worse than animals. Because the animals don't behead, the animals don't burn, the animals don't bulldoze. The animals don't take from the up of the building and the mountain and, you know, throwing people down. This is human beings that has capacity to act more than and worse than animals. And those who do this, they are not like just sick. They say, oh, these are sick people. If somebody is sick, you take this person to the hospital. You take him to the doctor if they're sick. But these are not sick, they are evil, they are shaitan. Instead of hospital, they go to prison. Their place is Jahannam. Because they are doing that much evil of injustice to themselves and to humanity. Now we had a meeting of the Imams, the Council of Imam. One of the Imam told me yesterday, he said, I don't like your interview. Anytime that you do the interview, I don't like it. I said, why? He said, because every time you talk about Saudi Arabia. I said, Dad, what's wrong? I thought that you are being surprised if somebody is silent. Is it nahi anil munkar haram now? All I see is nahi anil munkar. Don't you think that they are munkar? They are unjust. They are corrupt. They are criminals. They are oppressives. So if somebody is silent, should be blamed. Now somebody who is standing against injustice. But can you imagine that if this is an imam who leads the mosque and he has allergy to complain about someone who is just junoon? Unbelievable that the mainstream media, they don't talk about Yemen. They don't talk about the crimes that's happening there day and night. They are hitting the hospitals in front of everyone. The hospitals with patients, with the doctors. And our mainstream media, they are silent. And they are not ready to give us time to talk and to explain. How many times you see that somebody would run, like Ron Paul, for example, in many cases is telling the truth and saying it like it is. To be in Fox News or CNN or other mainstream media. If you want to follow this, you have to go online and social network. And this is good that in this country we have this social network and this freedom. That means if somebody is ignorant in this society, he or she has no excuse. Because if Fox News doesn't tell the truth, you can find the truth in different places from different people. You know, if you go to this WHTTO.org, which is we hold the truth, you can see all these articles and all this explanation from Ron Paul or from Chuck Carlson and others. They talk about ISIS. ISIS is Saudi and Saudi is ISIS. Same ideology, same beheading, same crimes, same thing. The media doesn't talk, and then that imam, so-called leader of the mosque, is sensitive that why I talk against injustice, against oppression, against crime and corruption. We have to talk then. American people don't think that those guys are representing our faith. Let them know if KKK represent the mainstream Christians, then ISIS represents Islam. That is not the case. But then we have to pay the price. Did you hear in the news that an immigrant from Morocco in Philadelphia, he was attacked brutally by a guy in a center city in Philadelphia, and he was beaten because he was speaking Arabic. Can you imagine somebody being beaten because he's talking in Arabic? Because those people around him, they think, oh, this is ISIS and it's dangerous. So this tells us, brothers and sisters, that every Muslim man and woman must be a voice of justice. Call for justice, stand for justice, struggle for justice. Justice for our friends, justice for our enemies. Moral justice, social justice, global justice. The goal of everyone must be justice. And justice must be achieved justly. We cannot achieve justice through injustice. That some people say, oh, we want to establish a Dawla al-Islamiyya. Then it's okay to behead, it's okay to burn, okay to kill people because we have a good goal. So it doesn't matter. The Quran teaches us that the ends don't justify the means. If you are looking for justice, you cannot get justice through injustice. That's not acceptable. Justice is absolute and injustice is not acceptable, even if your intention is good to get it. All the Anbiyas, Jesus was for justice. Muhammad was for justice. All of the messengers, peace be upon them, were for justice. Jihad in Islam is for justice. Jihad, not those criminals who call it holy war. We don't have holy war. We don't have al-harb in Islam. We have al-jihad, a struggle for justice to remove tyranny and terrorism. But that means engagement. That means that when after the salah somebody like Mahdi comes to the ladies and asks them to get involved in the community, answer her call. When Brother Jihad or David or anyone, they ask you to be a member of the mosque. When I was talking just, it was 2-3 days ago, Hajj Zuhair Abdul Haq was in our office, and we had former Senator Norman Schinkel and his friend Harry. Both of them were of the leaders of Republican Party, and they came to talk to me and saying that, well, we are moderate, we are not 100% with Trump, we know there is something wrong, but at the same time we want to reach out to Muslim community. And I told them that we as a masjid, we are not like promoting Republicans or Democrats. We are promoting the truth and justice. There are certain things that Republicans may say that we okay that. There are certain things that Democrats may say that we okay that. We look at the principles, not just the party lines. But brothers and sisters, the point is participation. Whether you go to Republican Party or to Democratic Party or to Independent Party or you form a different party, doesn't matter. The issue is that we get engaged. They showed us a bayan, a statement from Republican Party that a few years ago they put together. Both Hajj Zuhair and myself, we criticized. We said that is wrong. And they told us, so if there is nobody from you guys to tell us that that's wrong, how do we know it? When we as Muslims, we don't get involved, and then we just leave it for them, so they are going to listen to the Israelis and to the, you know, the mainstream media. How do they know the truth if none of us is there to talk, to explain, to vote? Unfortunately, in our community, people don't want to become even the member of the mosque. What about Republican Party or Democratic Party? We don't want to be member of anything. And I'm especially challenging our youth, the young generation, because we as the old generation, we might have language problem, the cultural problem, and a generational gap. But it's time for the young generation, for youth, both girls and boys in Muslim community to participate. Yeah, you have to study, you have to work, you have to think about your future, you have to think about forming a family. These are all important. But as a Muslim, you are also responsible for your community and your faith. Just get involved. The Republican Party, they need us. The Democrats, they need us, because there is so much ignorance, there is so much darkness. And we are the ones who should take the light of our faith and the light of our revelation and the light of the words of our prophet and share this light with everyone. If we don't do that, then why we just complain about Muslims are oppressed? People in Syria, people are in Iraq, in Yemen, in Libya, in Afghanistan, dealing with these criminals who are paid by the Saudis, are by the Saudis, and nobody is attacking the Saudis as sponsors of terrorism. They are talking about Iran as sponsoring the terrorism. What about Saudi? Nobody talk about that. They are our friends, the closest ally. Isn't it amazing? Oh, we cannot fight ISIS. I mean, invasion of Kuwait, in 24 hours, every vehicle between Kuwait and Basra was destroyed. And now for 2 years, the ISIS, they have thousands of these tankers over there online to steal the oil from Iraq, from Syria, to sell it to Turkey, and we cannot even do anything about those tankers. And still we are fighting ISIS. When we were talking to these representatives of the Republican Party, there were certain things that was interesting for them. And they opened their eyes and they were listening carefully. When I mentioned that how come still the file of 9/11, that chapter of 28 pages that I mentioned it last week here, and that is the heart of the report of 9/11. Without those 28 pages, people don't know what happened. Who supported the hijackers? And now for 13 years, the families, they are crying for justice, they are crying for truth, they are crying to be able to have access to information of those 28 pages, and they are denied from this classification of that information. When they heard us, they said, this is the case. And we didn't think about it that much. You see how if Muslims get involved in the political parties, we cannot make a revolution here, but there are already a system, right? There are parties, there is politics in this country. The Muslim community should get involved with the system and work through the system and bring awareness, at least to do our duty. That doesn't mean that we can change everything overnight. There was so much injustice in the past against African American, against Jews, against Japanese, against Catholics. So many injustices happened, and now Islamophobia. So when we talk about justice, that means that is a duty, al-amr bil-ma'ruf wal-nahy anil-munkar, to stand for justice and to let everyone know that Islamophobia is injustice. Islamophobia is injustice. War in Yemen is a case of injustice. Terrorism is injustice. ISIS is injustice. Racism is injustice. Discrimination is injustice. This is dhulm. And Quran tells us, لا تظلمون ولا تظلمون. Don't oppress and don't let oppression to happen. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون وإلى الصلاة إن الصلاة تنهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.